Let's talk about lying. There's a lot of reasons why everybody lies, and neurodivergent partners have specific reasons sometimes why they lie, and sometimes it's different from the reasons why neurotypical partners lie. Hello and welcome. I'm Jodi Carlton and your host today. I'm neurotypical, which means I'm not autistic, but I've spent my entire life in relationships loving people who are autistic. Moreover, I've spent the majority of my career educating about autism and helping couples bridge the gap in neurodiverse relationships. But this podcast is for you. It's a place to talk with me, to share your struggles, talk to me about your wins, your challenges, your victories, and also hear from other professionals who really get it and understand you. So what will we talk about today? So I had this question from a follower on another video on my YouTube channel. She says, my husband has a tendency to lie to others about me, usually during a point in a meltdown. Some of the lies are small ones, like I don't listen to him or that he does more around the house than me. Other lies are big ones, like I don't financially contribute to the household. I'm the reason for our financial situation, etc. I have a hard time understanding why he does this. Sometimes I theorize that maybe this is a part of his coping mechanism while in a meltdown. Like it helps him to feel better about himself if he can make me seem like less of a good person or partner. So I want to focus on the last part of what she said. If her husband is indeed trying to make himself feel better by minimizing her, this is a very toxic type of behavior. The question is that really why he's lying? Because people who lie to put others down in order to inflate themselves, that's not a neurodiverse trait. That is a toxic trait. That's a toxic personality trait. When you're lying to make someone else look bad so that you look better, that's more of the type of traits we see in personality disorders, specifically like a narcissistic type personality. What she's saying is that her husband lies during a meltdown. So is this a meltdown or is this a tantrum, a rage, an emotional dysregulation of some sort? Meltdowns, let's clarify. Neurodiverse or neurodivergent meltdowns have to do with sensory overwhelm and sometimes emotional and cognitive overwhelm, executive functioning type of overwhelm, which emotional and sensory overwhelm can be all part of the executive functioning processes of the brain. So when someone who's neurodivergent, when their brain gets overloaded, imagine the circuit board in your house, the electrical circuit board. We all have these outlets in our house that when they get overloaded, they'll trip. And there's a switch that trips in that particular outlet or at the main fuse box in the house. Our brain is literally an electric circuit board. Literally, like physiologically, electric circuit board. And so when there is an overload, whether it's sensory, cognitive, which is our thoughts, emotional, all of these different things, processes that are happening in our bodies at once, when there's an overload, it's like a circuit trips. And what that can look like is a shutdown. So sometimes you'll see someone who's neurodivergent just be unable to really process language and speak, or it may come out fairly incoherent. Their sentences may not make sense, or they may just stop speaking altogether. Sometimes it comes out in the form of what looks like raging or a meltdown, like a tantrum. It can look behavioral. It can look like a child having a temper tantrum, but it will be very illogical and irrational, and it won't make sense. There's very little executive functioning happening during an autistic meltdown. So the executive functioning frontal lobes of the brain here, which create thoughts and strategy, and that organize those thoughts into, if I do this, then this will happen. Or if I say this, then this will happen. We have to be able to think clearly and plan and judge and strategize in order to make those types of decisions and choices. When that circuit board, though, during a sensory overload or during an autistic meltdown, a neurodiverse meltdown, when that's overloaded, those types of thoughts and judgments can't happen. The thoughts are jumbled. The emotions are jumbled. You might see lying. It's an avoidant behavior that's said to just get someone to stop. It's like I don't want to deal with this type of behavior. Someone might lie and say they didn't do something that they did in order to stop you from questioning them. Or if they're feeling overwhelmed by something, they may just say, that's not, no, I didn't do that, or I didn't say that. And it might be a lie, but it's a form of shutdown. That's very different than a strategic and intentional lie that is for the purpose of making me feel better, to inflate my ego, and to change the way other people feel about another individual. So what this woman is saying is that during a meltdown, her husband tells other people lies about her, about what she contributes to the household financially, and that she feels like that it makes him feel better. But these things are not truths. At least they're not her truth anyway. And so I'm wondering what kind of meltdown this is. This sounds more like a rage. This sounds more like someone who's angry and feeling resentful, feeling vindictive, and it does sound like an emotional tantrum of sorts. But that is very different from a neurodiverse meltdown. That's not a tripped circuit board. That is someone who's having emotional dysregulation. That's someone who is upset, really upset about something, and not handling it well, and saying and doing things to make themselves feel better, to make you feel bad in that moment. And so this type of behavior, when it's done in that type of rage, is not part of neurodiversity. Now, that said, backing up, if these types of things are said not in the context of a meltdown or of a tantrum, of a rage of some sort, if they're said in moments that are calm, and let's say this woman's husband is talking to a friend or a colleague, and he tells her that his wife doesn't contribute to the household, or his wife doesn't do things, or he says things that to her are not true, that could be related to neurodiversity because of the black and white thinking. It may be that his definition of a financial contribution is working full time. He may not be seeing a part-time job that she does, or even the way that she's saving money for the family by being a stay-at-home mom and preventing the cost of daycare or childcare, or just so many financial contributions that a stay-at-home mom makes that literally have a financial value to them. He may not be seeing them in the same way that she does. And so because of that literal concrete thinking, in his mind, he may not see her as making a financial contribution. So it comes down to a difference in definitions and a difference in the way language is used and the way it's understood. So to her, he seems to be lying about her, but it really may be more about the way he uses that language. It may be more about the way he uses those words and uses the terminology as being different from the way she uses that language and her comprehension of what those words mean. And again, when those things are said outside of the context of a rage, that may be more about neurodiversity and a difference in those languages that we speak. But when they're said in the context of a rage, that feels more intentional, and that feels more malicious and more vindictive and related more to personality trait versus neurodiversity. Hope that clears things up for you guys. And if this is relatable to you, I'd love to see some comments below, or if you want some more personalized help, Reach out to us at gethelp@jodicarlton.com, and you can always book a consultation with me as well if you want truly personalized help and want to speak to me personally.